What's going on, everybody? I am Top 10 Pokemon, and this is our weekly Pokemon card auction recap, where we review all of the pertinent auctions that occurred. Thank you so much for joining me today. You're going to love today's episode. As always, we have a ton of variety to go over. Some cards from the newest set, Scarlet and Violet. We've got some graded cards, raw cards, some sealed product to go over. So stay tuned to the very end. Thank you to all of my loyal subscribers who watch these videos each and every week. I really do appreciate it. Please consider using my eBay affiliate link if you buy anything on eBay to also support the channel that way. I would appreciate that. So the newest Pokemon news on the block is that PSA is now going to continue grading the metal cards from the Celebrations Ultra Premium Collection box. So we're going to take a look at an absolutely insane sale of a PSA 10 Charizard that came by. So folks, you know how we do. Let's jump into this auction recap, starting out with the newest Japanese set, Scarlet and Violet. We have a couple of graded cards to go over from that. Starting off with the most popular card so far from this set, it is the Full Art Miriam Trainer card. That is a PSA 10 sold this past week for $1,050, while a BGS 10 Pristine example sold for $1,355. And also from this set, we saw a raw Meowscarade EX that sold for $200 even. And while we're on the subject of raw cards, here is a raw Giratina V alternate art from Lost Origins that sold for $430. So that's pretty impressive for a raw modern card. Several black label cards to go over. Here is a Japanese Mewtwo V-Star from the V-Star universe, sold for $610 this week. We also saw a Japanese Arceus V-Star that sold for $990. Here is a from EV Heroes, a black label Flareon V that sold for $1,825. And then we saw this black label Pikachu from the Precious Collection box that sold for $3,250 this week. And then we also saw a black label English Pikachu from the Crown Zenith set that sold for $1,525. From Silver Tempest, we saw this black label Duraludon VMAX that sold for $455. And also from Silver Tempest, we saw this Rayquaza VMAX. This is the black and gold trainer gallery card that sold for $535. And then back to Crown Zenith, we saw this English Zacian V full art. Got the BGS 10 black label and sold for $1,075. And this is not the most flattering picture to take of this card. You can hardly really tell what this card is until you look close at it to see it's Zacian V, or a Zacian V, or whatever you call it. Here is a Charizard V Black Star promo from the Champions Path Elite Trainer box. Got a black label and sold for $980. Here from Team Up Set, we saw a black label Gengar and Mimikyu GX full art card, sold for $1,205. Then I also wanted to mention this, folks. It's not an auction, but a subscriber did send it to me. It's a sale that they had. It was a BGS 10 black label Gold Star Umbreon from the Celebrations Classic Collection. They had it listed for $4,000, but had a best offer accepted price of $3,200. All right, up next, it is not a black label, but it is a CGC 10 Perfect card. It is the Charizard Holo from Celebrations that sold this week for $1,101. We saw the special delivery Charizard come by that sold for a new low price that I've seen, or lowest I've seen it in quite a while. As a PSA 10, it sold for $185. And then we saw a couple of very expensive modern Japanese cards from the EV Hero set. Here's a Umbreon VMAX in PSA 10 that sold for $2,400. And then we saw this Sun and Moon promo full art Pikachu that sold as a PSA 10 for $2,025, and then again for $2,125. Up next is the 15th anniversary Japanese black and white full art Pikachu promo. Whew, that was a mouthful. That sold as a PSA 10 for $2,613 this week. Here is a 2017 Japanese Best of XY Lugia reverse holographic. And that is a beautiful reverse holo pattern, if I do say so myself. This card sold as a Gem Mint 10 this week for $1,205. And to finish up our modern auctions on eBay, here is a Mario Pikachu box sealed that sold for $3,900. And folks, you can pull some absolute bangers out of this box. Very, very expensive card. So it makes sense that the booster box is very, very expensive. Moving on to some vintage. We saw several PSA 10 base 2 holos come by. Here is a Scyther in PSA 10 that sold for $392. Here we have a base 2 Mewtwo that sold for $668. The Venusaur sold for $665, while the Blastoise here sold for $1,136. So what do y'all think of base 2? I think there's a lot of underrated aspects to it, especially with these holos. These are fairly low pop PSA 10 holos going for some pretty affordable prices. I don't know. Let me know what y'all think of base 2 in the comments below. But nothing quite beats first edition base set. Here is a PSA 10 holo Venusaur that sold this week for $18,500. We saw a couple of legendary collection reverse holos. Here's a Graveler that sold as a Gem Mint 10 for $400. This Grimer here sold for $394. And then this Dark Dragonair reverse holo sold for $811 this week. From a fossil set, we saw this Lapras first edition holo, which is one of the, I think it might be the lowest pop first edition holo from fossil set. Sold this week for $2,650. We saw several Neo Destiny cards come by. Here's a Dark Typhlosion first edition holo that sold for $690. Here's an Unlimited Shining Raichu, sold for $690 as well. Here is a Shining Mewtwo that sold for $1,235. And the Shining Tyranitar sold for $1,625. Here we have a CGC 10 Pristine Shining Celebi first edition that sold for $1,185. We saw yet again a holographic Blastoise from Expedition set, and it sold for $2,653. From EX Unseen Forces, we saw a Gold Star Entei sell for $910. From Diamond and Pearl Mysterious Treasures, we saw this holographic Alakazam come by. Not a card we see very often. Sold as a PSA 10 for $887. From EX Power Keepers, we saw a Charizard holo that sold for $1,435. We saw this beautiful PSA 10 Ho-Oh from Call of Legends. Call of Legends has some absolutely amazing cards in it. This week, this card sold for $3,050. Oh, and I also wanted to mention this black and white Plasma Storm Secret Rare Blastoise is sold as a PSA 10 for $1,825. All right, up next from this week's PWCC auction block, we saw a CGC 10 perfect holographic Gengar from Expedition. This is the Japanese version. CGC Pop 1 card sold for $1,290. And then speaking of Gengar, we saw this SGC 10 first edition Sabrina's Gengar. This is also a Pop 1 card that sold for $1,860. Here is a PSA 10 Gold Star Celebi from Crystal Guardians, sold this week for $1,890. And then we saw a Gold Star Flareon from EX Power Keepers that sold for $1,980. We saw a couple of very strong CGC base set cards. This is a first edition Clefairy holo from base set, and it has very strong subgrades on it. This is like 0.5 away from getting a CGC 10, and it sold for $1,470. Here we have a CGC 9.5 first edition Raichu holo that sold for $2,130. And then also we saw a CGC 9.5 first edition Gyarados. Also very strong subgrades there that sold for $3,360 this week. Here's a PSA 10 Unlimited base set Blastoise that sold for $2,220. Here we saw one of those Mario Pikachu cards we were just talking about. This one is the Luigi Pikachu full art card that sold as a PSA 10 for $2,880. And then here is the other banger from the Mario Pikachu set. It is the Mario Pikachu full art card that sold for $5,040 this week. We saw this E-Series Pichu sample card in PSA 10 sell for $3,480. Here's a first edition Shining Tyranitar from Neo Destiny, sold as a PSA 10 for $3,840, along with this Shining Mewtwo that also sold for $3,840. Here's a first edition Dark Charizard holo from Rocket Set that sold for $3,960. A couple of BGS cards. Here is a BGS 9.5 first edition Lugia holo from Neo Genesis that sold this week for $5,520. And then we saw a BGS 9.5 Shadowless base set Charizard that sold for $9,300. And then here is a CGC 8.5 first edition base set Charizard that sold for $10,200. The auction of the week. has to go to this PSA 10 gold medal Charizard card from the Celebrations Ultra Premium Collection box. These cards are rearing their heads again ever since PSA decided to grade them again. So I'm sure we're going to see a ton of these come through in the upcoming months. But this week, this card saw a sale of $10,200. Whew! Man, folks, what do you think of that price? And what do you think of all these auctions this week? Please let me know in the comments. I look forward to hearing from you each and every week. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really, really appreciate it. Don't forget to give the video a like on the way out. And don't forget to be a subscriber. Thanks again, folks. I'll catch you all in my next one.